Hello, friends. James Stevenson and Loki back with your subscriber exclusive weekly series, James and Loki's Gems of the Week, the series in which Loki and I, over here, look back through all of the posts that we liked on X over the previous week and talk about why we liked them. Without further ado, we will jump right in where we left off last week. That's Sasha Yanchin post about impersonators. We saw some more impersonators over the last week. They have not been defeated by X yet. They are, by many accounts, winning. Here's one from Vicente Silveira. Folks don't understand the unbelievable achievement of being #1 car sold in China, and not as some joint venture, but owning it outright. Yes, Tesla owns their factory in China 100%. Most legacy automakers you hear about having production in China have what's called a 50-50 joint venture, where they only own half the business, and the Chinese government ultimately owns the other half of the business under whatever corporate entity they are doing business as. So Tesla did get a 100% owned factory. Now, they can't buy the land, but guess what? Nobody can in China. You're not allowed to own the land. The government owns all the land. You can lease it for 50 years or 100 years or whatever. Even land you think you own, the government can take from you whenever they want to. So a 50-year contract is about as good as you're going to do for building your own factory in China, which is the deal Tesla got back in 2019 from the Chinese government when they put up Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai. Retweeting me saying the best-selling car in China last year was a Tesla, not the best-selling EV, the best-selling car. The best-selling car in China is made by Tesla, not by one of the many good Chinese automakers. Vicente, if you don't know him, is the co-creator of AI PDF GPT and AI Drive. And he formerly worked at WhatsApp, Uber, and LinkedIn. So follow him if that's of interest to you. Here's one from Stephen Mark Ryan that I liked. Correct. Hybrids are trans EVs. It's kind of a funny way of putting it. Retweeting Viv at Battle Angel Viv, who said hybrids are not EVs. They are not. If it has a gas tank and a gas engine and a tailpipe, it is not an EV. You can argue with me if you want, but you're not an EV if you have, if you go to gas stations to fill the thing up and it's got a gas tank in it that holds gasoline that you burn in oily steel canisters and spit pollution out the back, you have an internal combustion engine vehicle with a big battery in it, if that's a better, more honest way of putting it. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt, the first of surely many of his posts this week that I liked. Replying to me, it's pretty crazy that later this year marks the 10-year anniversary of SpaceX's first successful booster landing. Nearly 10 years later, nobody else has accomplished this. Just goes to show how far ahead of the game SpaceX was/is, replying to me when I replied to him, saying Blue Origin has released a new video of what they aim to accomplish during the first flight of their 320-foot-tall New Glenn rocket. They had to scrub last night's launch attempt, so TBD when the next attempt will be. They did the attempt, and like SpaceX's Starship test, they got it half right. They got the half SpaceX didn't get. Their orbital vehicle made it to orbit for the first time ever, but they did not land their booster on the barge at sea. It crashed. So my reply was, how did Blue Origin think up all those innovative ideas? Landing the first stage booster propulsively on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean? Wild. Has such a thing ever been attempted before? So that's where that reply came from. And here was my Anakin and Padme meme for Jeff and Elon. I'm going to space. Orbital, right? Orbital, right? All right. That I have fun. You gotta have fun, right? Matt Smith with a standalone post here. Hashtag Tesla is a 420 magnet. I replied, the quickest path to 6 trillion is for Tesla to do an 11 for 10 stock split every single time it passes 420. So that would only drop it back to 378 every time. And it always seems like it can run to 420 from 378, right? That's not very far for it to have to move. So you would think if Tesla would just do that, they'd be at 6 trillion in no time. People would keep adding to the market cap every time they traded Tesla stock up from 378 to 420. I think that's obviously a joke, but also kind of maybe not a joke. I think the problem with the stock splits is that they're 3 for 1 or 5 for 1, and then you get a totally different looking number, right? If people think 420 looks about right for a stock price, they'll pay for it if it's trading around 380, thinking it'll probably get back to 420, and it always has. Every time so far, Tesla has made it back to 420 again, every time they've done a split. All right, here's one from Sawyer Merritt. You thought the Hummer EV was heavy at 9,046 pounds? Well, introducing the new 9,300 pound Cadillac Escalade IQ EV. Deliveries just started and the specs are wild. Weight, 9,300 pounds with no passengers. 217 kilowatt hour usable battery, EPA range 460 miles. It should have been a lot more miles than this on a battery pack that enormous. That is about 4 times a Model 3 battery pack, if you don't get the long range. 224 inches long, longer than a Cybertruck. Cadillac is working on an extended wheelbase IQ that will be even longer and harder to park in a regular parking space. And will definitely not sell in Europe, where you forget about parking in Europe with anything longer than 224 inches. 350 kilowatts of fast charging capability. You can find a charger for it. 12.2 cubic foot trunk, 7.1 for Cybertruck, so a really big frunk with 120 volt outlet, 40 speaker sound system, seats up to 7 people. Starting price $130,000, maxing out at $175,000 for that vehicle right there. So Escalades have never been cheap, but this Escalade IQ EV, that is a really big frunk, but it's not very deep, is it? Like, that's not the deepest frunk I ever saw in my life. And there you go, with the 40 speaker sound system. That's in here. Yeah, I glazed right over that when I was reading it, but then in my reply, after we see Sawyer's reply, 3 Honda Civic Sports combined weigh less than 1 Cadillac Escalade IQ LOL. Well, yeah, the 217 kilowatt hour battery pack by itself is half that, probably, maybe more. I replied, give it 3 more speakers. Mary, when they showed her the version that only had 37 speakers. Yes. Great. 3 more speakers ought to do it. It's those last 3 that really make it sound good. Mary, as she cashes one of her many large bonus checks, is how I caption that. Aeon DE replying, 40 is the absolute minimum to enjoy a proper rendition of Mary Led Zeppelin's greatest hits. I see what you did there, Aeon DE. All right, let's back out of here. James Hatfield at James Hatfield _ replying to Holmar's blog, it's literally called Red Note. Do they not know what that means? The term Red Note is a direct translation of the Chinese name, drawing a parallel to Chairman Mao Zedong's famous Little Red Book, with a screenshot here of Grok answering that Xiao Hongshu, which you may have heard of, Red Note, Little Red Book. Yeah, there's the history. Chairman Mao, if you're up on your Beatles lyrics, if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow. as I replied here with a GIF of John Lennon, who I wish was still around. Watch the movie Yesterday, if you haven't seen that before, to get a little wispy-eyed over John Lennon. Here's one from Doge Army General that I liked, at the Tesla Bull on X, with the eyes and the laughing emoji, with this meme here of Elon Musk sneaking up on TikTok. Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill, the movie stars here, good friends in real life, having been in the Aquaman and Superman movies together, and apparently having a good time. So it's a fun meme. Here's one from Brian White, at Future Aza on X and all other platforms, where he posts content. Nobody tell the haunting clown of the Green Hills about this. He'd be apoplectic. Referring, of course, to Dan O'Dowd, owner of Green Hills Software. Somebody is going to hack him one day, and all his boasting about having an unhackable computer is going to come back to haunt him, or unhackable software. Retweeting Ray at Ray4Tesla. News, Su Ching, former Huawei executive of autonomous driving, spoke about FSD yesterday. If you insist on having me choose a benchmark today, frankly speaking, I would still choose FSD because I truly believe the overall quality of the American team and their spirit of innovation are genuinely admirable. After trying it out myself, I can see that they have many unique strengths in terms of technology, and in some areas they are even ahead by a significant margin. It's okay to acknowledge it. Tagging Ashok Elaswamy, head of Tesla's Autopilot/AI program. Here's one from Space Pseudoer, with SpaceX over here launching rockets at a blistering pace, while Blue Origin over here is failure to launch. Or at the time they did launch. But the day this was posted, they had delayed for a couple of days in a row over a stuck valve was the first one, and then they had a frozen power line running to the ship, I guess. So yeah, this poor guy's hand must just have been calloused beyond recognition after lighting off all those fireworks. But the next post that I liked from AonDE, Mary, hey guys, the view out the back of our new Corvette ZR1 is pretty abysmal. Shouldn't we install a camera mirror? Lead GM engineering genius, you are absolutely right, ma'am. Installs camera right in front of massive rear wing. Mary led. Look at this. So this is the view out the back. This is the view out the back of your brand new GM sports car. It's just a wing. So I had to reply to that with a Doug DeMuro clip. So if you haven't been watching his videos, this one's a classic with the Lamborghini Countach, an 80s supercar poster car that you have to reverse like this. I'll let Doug explain it in his own inimitable words.
That leads to a rather unorthodox reversing method, which a lot of Countach owners use, and which I will demonstrate for you now. You're supposed to push the clutch in, put the car in reverse as it is, then get up here, turn around. Now I can see everything. See ya! I'm serious, they recommend this! That leads to a rather...
Expertly done, as always, by Doug. He has reviewed some crazy supercars, sports cars, expensive cars. You name it, if it's a weird and quirky car, you may be able to find a YouTube video of Doug DeMuro talking about it and driving it. Here's one from the Short Shorts historian at Tesla historian, this day in Tesla Q history. Proud, more like ashamed, tagging at Dowd Edward 6 years ago, who on January 14th of 2019 said, "So proud, hashtag Tesla Q. You are a part of Wall Street history. The story is unfolding and ending, and the truth reveal will be epic. The end." Well, that's what Dowd Edward thought way back here. And then all the rest of this happened. So, is this account still around? Yeah, I guess so. I guess Dowd Edward is still around. For event bookings, you can contact that email address. I guess he's in Hawaii. Okay. Here's one from Renata Conkley that I liked, replying to Elon Musk. "I was wondering where all these new likes came from under my old post. Thanks for sharing." Yeah, this is how this works now. So if you see a video on somebody else's timeline or in your newsfeed or whatever, and you want to share that video without retweeting them, you can do that. There's a way to do it here, and maybe I won't be able to find it for you. Oh yeah, share post via might be how you do it, or not. I've done it before, but there's a way to do this where you... I'm not going to find it right away, am I? I did find it. It's just post video. So you go here and you got to post video. And then it'll link it to her and she'll get credit for it, but without you retweeting her directly. So that's how you do that. If that's something you want to do, sometimes it's just cleaner that way. Like if they said something dumb as the caption to the video and you don't feel like retweeting that sentiment, don't. Just do the post video route, and then you can give it whatever caption you think is appropriate for that video content. All right. Another one from Brian. "Holy clinch, Batman," retweeting Mr. Fundman, who posted, "FSD saves lives. This is why I'm driving 100% on FSD," which accelerated to get this Tesla out of harm's way when this truck veered into the lane because that vehicle veered into its lane. So it was trying to avoid that accident and didn't check to see if there was already a car over here first. Because, you know, that's the kind of stuff that happens in real life out there in the real world, where there are bad drivers making dumb decisions on interstate highways. And this Tesla did not even get a scratch from the concrete barrier. It availed itself of almost every last inch of space available on the left-hand shoulder of this road near the concrete divider. You wouldn't have wanted to see what would happen if the car or truck had made it through that barrier into oncoming traffic. Sometimes that happens, and really bad, severe outcomes can occur. Here's one from Maz Shar at Epic Winning Maz on X. "What do you think of 2024's top-selling EVs in the UK?" Well, number one is the Tesla Model Y, with 32,862 vehicles sold. So much for everyone in Europe hates Elon. Oh, look, what's in third place? It's the Tesla Model 3. Nearly in second place, the Audi Q4 e-tron only outsold it by, 200 units in a totally different form factor. So this is an SUV, a true SUV form factor for the Audi e-tron. And there's the rest of the list. So Tesla holding up very nicely, I think, in the UK. Could these numbers be better? Sure, they could be better. And maybe they will get better as time goes by. We'll see. Here's one from Herbert Ong that I liked, replying to me with the multiple hands face palming Stephen Colbert here on his show, replying to me with my T-minus 13 hours until Jeff Bezos can finally maybe say yes to the orbit question. If you're familiar with the meme, I've posted it myself many times, of Jeff Bezos saying no to the orbit gum being offered to him. He's had to answer that question no for 20 years. And now, finally, he can say yes. Blue Origin has achieved orbit. They've now done it once. And maybe they'll do it some more before the end of 2025. That would be great if they can get more flights launched. Yes, I made this image using Grok. You can see the watermark down here. If you need a clue other than that Jeff Bezos does not have 3 hands, which is why I liked this reply from Herbert Ong with Stephen Colbert's 4 hands. This was one of like 10 different images I got, and I decided to use this one because it had this error here. You may see another one before the end of this video. I'll just keep going. Here's one from Morblius at Morblius. Normally you would see Morbius, but I guess that wasn't available. LOL, hashtag Tesla. Here's Colin Langan, Wells Fargo. He's been covering Tesla for a long time, long as I can remember. He's a 0-star analyst on a 5-star scale, number 9,006 out of 9,284 Wall Street analysts. You have to be terrible to be worse than Colin Langan, who has a 47% success rate, an average return of negative 7.8%, investing in like American corporations. You ought to be able to do better picking companies at random. A lot better than negative 7.8%, right? If you picked 370 companies to invest in completely at random, you should do better than negative 7.8%, but Colin Langan doesn't. Let me click through here and scroll up to show you what they're replying to. It's this post from CNBC. Wells Fargo sticks by negative Tesla view. Sees shares plunging nearly 70%. I came here to post this, and it had already been posted. So I owed this person a like, and they got their like from me. That's the rule. If someone else has already posted what you were going to post, you owe them a like. Here's one from Bark at Bark M. Smeagol. Chris, aka at Brad Munkin, is a living, breathing example. The Curb Your Enthusiasm meme song, hashtag Tesla Q, with some clown emojis and some woozy face emojis. And a meme here posted by Motorhead at Brad Munkin with a Cybertruck post included in his screenshot. If somebody's making fun of the person hiding behind the fake name Brad Munkin, I am there for it. Here's one from Kim Java at It's Kim Java. Comment of the day. I would be interested in viewing your YouTube channel in about 5 years from now when all of the wonderful, exciting new Tesla EV battery packs need to be replaced. I would imagine that you will have some even more interesting discussions about Tesla EVs when it comes time to pay the piper back. I replied, I was hoping this comment was from 5 years ago today. No, there's still people out there as misinformed today as they were 5 years ago. It looks like the kind of thing people were posting 5 years ago, and undoubtedly you can find a lot of comments like this from 5+ years ago on people's YouTube videos about EVs. But good to see Kim Java posting funny stuff to X. Here's one from Rob Maurer. Speaking of people it's good to see posting on X, at Tesla Podcast, you hardly ever get any content out of Rob Maurer anymore since he went to work for Ben here. Can't wait to see V2 in action tomorrow. Just for scale said, Farzad, Rob is 7'4". I replied, fact check true-ish. With my photo, the only photo I have of me with Satoshi and K10 and Rob Maurer hanging out together waiting for Elon to come out at the Cybertruck First Deliveries event, the only Tesla event I've ever been to because Martin Vieca gave me his +1. Here's one from the limiting factor at limiting the with the laughing emoji, a 100, and tweet of the day. What's this in regard to? Oh, here's one from Sawyer Merritt. Not Tesla related, but after 56 years, the FDA today officially banned the use of red dye number 3 in food and beverages in the U.S. Food manufacturers will have until January 15th, 2027 to reformulate their products. 3,200 brand name food products contain red 3. The FDA cannot authorize a food additive or color additive if it has been found to cause cancer in human or animals, said Jim Jones, the FDA's Deputy Director for Human Foods. In a statement, I replied, it cannot be real life that the name of the guy banning red Kool-Aid on the basis that it is dangerous to drink is Jim Jones. Simulation confirmed, with plenty of replies here from folks who similarly could, Beeperkins here at That Tesla Cat. Only James would notice this. I did notice this. I wasn't the only one. Others in the comments left GIFs telling you that they also recognized the Jim Jones. That's Robert Kennedy Jr. there in that other GIF. A few people posting him. Wow, so many replies to Sawyer's posts here. That one just really took off. I know I saw a Jim Jones GIF in here. There he is. So that settles it with Jim Jones here drinking red Kool-Aid, I guess, is the idea behind that GIF. I don't think there is any footage, and you wouldn't want to see it if there were, of his cult actually drinking the red Kool-Aid that killed them all in South America, where they had fled. Here's one from Farzad. Dear YouTube, how? Sincerely everyone, with a screenshot of his replies. Look at all this XAI 105E nonsense. Bam, 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 bam. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely a scam and you shouldn't go invest your money in it. So I like that. Here's one from I Like Teslas. A person in his 70s approached me while I was sitting in my Cybertruck, and asked me some questions about it, asked if he could test drive one of these at Tesla. And I told him, hop in, you can test drive this one. He has a Model 3. I asked if he has FSD on his 3. He asked, what is FSD? So then I was like, okay, sir, you really have to take a test drive with me. Long story short, I think I sold a Cybertruck with FSD. So good work, Jose. Selling Cybertrucks by giving out test drives to people on demand upon request. Jose will let you drive his Cybertruck and see how FSD works. I liked this post so much, I retweeted it. You don't see the green indicator here, but I know that I did. Sometimes it just doesn't appear. Well, maybe it's because we're in the likes view here, and when you're viewing your likes, it doesn't show up with the retweet on it. Here's one from the Cybertruck guy. Guys, Chuck did it. What did Chuck do? Well, there's a screenshot here from Brandon at Brandon Tesla with no E in it, like the stock ticker. Cybertruck needs a rear camera washer. Tesla AI replying, give that camera a little bit of personal attention, won't you? Chuck Cook replying, while I agree cleaning cameras with supervised is definitely something we need to consider, having an official post from Tesla AI about cleaning our own cameras is a bit concerning. You have a plan for this, right? Unsupervised can't have customers wiping cameras. And Tesla_AI, the official account, replied, on a more serious note, a more comprehensive cleaning solution is being worked on. So, good stuff there. As I adjust the camera to make sure I keep Loki in the frame. Good boy, buddy. How are we doing so far? Good? No comments from Loki? Okay, we'll keep going. To the next post that I liked from Tesla AI, we just saw that one. We just saw this one from Chuck Cook, and we haven't seen this one yet from Kyle Mann. at @the_Kyle_man with 2 N's. Zoomers rushing to download a Chinese state media app called The Little Red Book to show they're not gonna fall for state propaganda is something even we at the Babylon Bee couldn't have come up with, yet it is happening in real life. That is hilarious. If a writer had pitched it as a joke, I would have said, not close enough to reality, a little far-fetched. The Little Red Book bit is a hat on a hat, you know? You can't put a hat on a hat. It's too much. It's too unbelievable. Here's one from Holmar's catalog. At Holmar's blog, there's a FUD story going around that Tesla had to offer inventory incentives of $1,000 to $1,600 on Cybertruck because there's no demand. One article even called it a cyber flop. But when you look at the inventory page, you see the incentives are only for 2024 vehicles and demo vehicles. Note that the EV tax credit only applies to 2025 Cybertrucks and beyond. So it would still be much cheaper for most people to get a 2025 Cybertruck for $72,500 than a Cybertruck discounted by $1,000 to $79,000. The incentive is needed to clear out the trucks that don't qualify for the credit. You have to laugh at the brain-dead haters calling the best-selling electric truck in the country a flop. Cybertruck beat Ford and Rivian last year, and it will beat its own record this year. Now that lower-cost variants are on the market, sure, American consumers are choosing fewer pickups and small vehicles they're choosing smaller vehicles instead of pickups, as financing costs continue to be elevated going into 2025, but to spin that as an indictment of Cybertruck misses the fact that none of these haters predicted Cybertruck would outsell F-150 Lightning, Rivian R1T, and Rivian R1S. Keep moving the goalposts. I would not underestimate the world's first pickup truck with FSD supervised. Good stuff there, nothing to add. Just great information to have in case you see that FUD. Here's one from Nick Cruz Patane. The owner said he was going for a Countach vibe, hence the Lamborghini Doge emblem on the hood, LOL, via The Shop, Florida, which I've never heard of before. But yeah, you a cute little Lambo style logo in the front here to make it look like a Lamborghini Countach truck. Lamborghini did make a truck. I think I saw Jason Camisa do a video about Cybertruck where he brought it out. It didn't sell very well and was extremely quirky. But go look that up if that's of interest to you. Here's one from Andrew Bartles at ADB1146. Wow. My hashtag Tesla hashtag hardware4 hashtag FSD v13.2.2 just reversed out of my driveway, drove me across town and, wait for it, into the pharmacy parking lot and found a spot and reverse parked into it with zero intervention from me. My wife kind of freaked out. She was like, what is it doing? If you're just learning how to post on X, don't follow the example of Andrew Bartles. I don't know who this is, but he hates punctuation, or appropriate punctuation, apparently, I'm gathering from reading this. It's hard for me to read a post that has no appropriate punctuation in it. I give this a C-, but I still liked it. She was like, what is it doing? It was a quirky little parking lot. The car actually switched to reverse to navigate around a traffic island. Mind blown. I am genuinely starting to think this robotaxi thing might work. Tagging Tesla AI, Chazman, Cold Envy, I don't know who that is, AI Driver, and Ashok Alaswamy, wow, had some kind of AP and later FSD since 2018. For me, this was the moment with a 1,000 people who liked that. All right, I've had to pause this video so many times from getting interrupted. We'll keep going to the next one that I liked here from Ken Kirtland, the fourth, at Ken Kirtland 17. on X. This is so wild, like a video game cutscene or something. Retweeting Jay Keegan in response to a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request from the National Science Foundation. Customs and Border Protection has released the footage from the aerostat stationed at South Padre Island of launch and booster catch from Starship Flight 5. So you're watching the video here. So if you don't know what an aerostat is a blimp. So I guess they were flying a blimp around taking video of this event. And if you want to see the entire video clip, just go look up this Jay Keegan tweet, and you'll find it by searching X. People don't search X well enough. Here's one from AJ at Alojo. Reposting Rune at TSZZL. Wealth is one of the worst yardsticks for self-worth. There's always someone richer. As you gain wealth, your environment fills with people who are worth 100x more than you because of the long tails. You gotta excel at something only you can do. Elon Musk replying with the eyes emoji. I saw this post, and it doesn't apply to me. And Rune replies, my only follower where this doesn't apply. Pretty funny. You gotta like that, right? If you got a sense of humor. Here's another one from AJ that I liked. Good chart update. I think Faraday Future and Workhorse will be the next ones filing for bankruptcy if Trump kills credit sales. Rivian drops more than 30%. Lucid is less affected since it's mostly Saudi-owned already and stock is highly illiquid. Also, Polestar would be significantly affected since just yesterday the CEO made credit sales a big part of the Polestar story. If you don't know what AJ means by Lucid, made a video a long time ago where I showed a fictional scenario about a made-up company called Al Usid, a Saudi Arabian company. If you don't know what AJ meant by it's mostly Saudi-owned already and stock is highly illiquid, what he means is the majority of the shares are owned by the Saudis and they're not selling. So the trading that happens in Lucid stock is on a minority of shares that are available to be traded, right? Like, essentially the Saudis have locked up their shares in a bank safety deposit box for, you can think of it as figuratively in your mind. So those shares may as well not exist because they're not available for anyone to purchase. So in essence, they've done a share buyback, like they've reduced the float of the shares until such time as they decide they want to start selling that stock. And they're not worried about money, folks. They got plenty of money. the investment fund of Saudi Arabia has all the money they could want, and they make more every day exporting oil from Saudi Arabia. It's very inexpensive for them to get that oil up and out of the ground and into a barge and out to its happy buyer. So here's the chart. I like a good chart. And what do we see about all of these companies that are labeled? This is done very well. Like the Fisker and the Canoe have strike-throughs through their name, and the cumulative amount of free cash flow that they lost. How much money did this company burn? Greater than the amount of revenue they took in. So Canoe lost that much, Fisker lost this much, and here's how everybody else is doing, right? So Workhorse apparently just has a very small operation that hardly produces anything, so that's how they've managed to not lose very much money. They just have almost no costs. Relative to all these other companies, Lotus isn't an EV maker, unless this is a different Lotus. Like if this is the Lotus Elise people, they've been making gasoline engine cars for a long time. Xiaopeng is here. Polestar, VinFast, Neo, Ford, Lucid, and Rivian are all looking pretty bad. Rivian looks the worst, like $22.2 billion worth of free cash flow negative. life to date is super bad. And then you can see Tesla, the only one positive, and on a positive upswing trend for years now. So the fun thing about this chart is it's labeled from year one of operation onwards. So you can see, yes, Tesla has been at it for longer than everybody except Workhorse. Workhorse, weirdly, it doesn't follow the same trend everybody else does. But yeah, these companies that go bankrupt are just losing more and more money every year. It's the story that Tesla Q members told about Tesla was that they're just going to keep losing more and more money every year until they declare bankruptcy. That did happen for Canoe and for Fisker. Those are the companies they should have been shorting, and maybe the rest of the companies that are on this list as well. If none of these can turn this around, it seems likely that one day they will have to declare bankruptcy. Because you got to be profitable to stay in business, or else you got to keep returning to the capital markets over and over again, trying to issue stock or issue bonds, and one day there won't be anybody there to buy them, and your company will have to cease operations when it can't make payroll. And the last post that I liked this week came from Yashu Sharma. Tesla, when it comes time to release 12.6 to Hardware 3 Model 3 cars with Lionel Messi here in a video game where instead of scoring goals, this video game player decided it would be more fun to just keep psyching people out. like you were gonna score the goal, and then you don't do it. That's a funny comparison, and then there's the winning goal. Pretty funny. So that's a good place for Loki and I to leave the conversation this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and I will appreciate that. As I do all of you all the time, this video is an exclusive for you, dear subscriber. I appreciate your support. And a special shout out, as always, to my two executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.